Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Offside Opinions podcast. I'm Ashray Neotia,
And I'm Levi Nah.
and we'll just jump right in with last week's recap.
So, starting off with the Thursday night game, Steelers-Browns. Somehow the Steelers managed to choke. I'm not really sure what to say about that one. I mean, I don't think either team played particularly well, but I mean, Boswell missed a field goal. You can't really blame him for that with all the snow they had. I don't know that you can necessarily get super mad at either team for playing in that much snow, but two turnovers for the Steelers, and they have a hard schedule coming up. It's not going to get any easier from here. So, I mean, is the offense going to be able to score more? Are they going to be able to avoid punting it that much? They really need to figure out which quarterback they're going to go with now rather than later, because changing mid-game like that's not gonna make their offense look any more confident.
Yeah, and I agree. But also, the Steelers, they're probably going to win their division, to be honest. The Browns have just been in the division outstanding. 3-0, haven't really lost at all except for outside the division, and I think that they'll be just fine either way. So, yeah.
Starting off with the Sunday games, Panthers-Chiefs. It was a really close game. The Panthers played amazing. Bryce Young looks like he's back to being worth a number one overall pick. They just, and their defense played great too. They sacked Mahomes multiple times. The only question is, can they keep looking that good? Can they finish the season strong? I'm not 100% sure what their playoff picture looks like right now, but it's probably not great. I think they have like 3 wins, so probably not the playoffs this year, but I think Bryce Young is the quarterback for their future.
Yeah. Dave Canales worked his magic once again with Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young has looked a lot more confident recently after the benching with Andy Dalton. Some of that might be because of that benching.
Yeah.
But I think that Bryce Young is going to be a talented quarterback, maybe more like a Kyler Murray-esque quarterback who has his moments, but who's not like that good at times.
I think giving him some time on the bench was the right decision. I think he realized, what the pace of the NFL looks like a little bit more. I think he's going to be a much better quarterback by next year. Bears-Vikings. The Bears lost, thank goodness, but man, was it close. I was not terribly happy about that, but just winning because we blocked a field goal or got a couple turnovers. I don't know that. That's not a pretty win for us. But the Caleb Williams looked a lot better. Keenan Allen looked a lot better for sure. So I think, if they can start winning games and maybe stop letting their special teams get blocked like that, and don't let Caleb Williams down. That team can be a little bit better, but I don't think they're gonna.
Yeah, Caleb Williams played a pretty phenomenal game overall. I think he had that one throw where he was like running out to his right, and then he like slung it 30, 40 yards downfield to DeAndre Swift. That was a beautiful throw.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what the Bears had hoped he would be from day one. Sure, he didn't deliver on that, but also he's not in the easiest of divisions either, with the Lions, the Packers being in his division too. So I think that really this game has been a testament of what he can be. And I think from here, if he just stays kind of consistent and less turnovers, more of like this type of playing, then I think he can be a very, very solid quarterback in the league.
Texans-Titans. Man, what an ugly game for the Texans. I did not see that coming. But, man, I don't even know if the playoffs are realistic to expect from them at this point. C.J. Stroud looks terrible this year. I don't know what happened, but and I don't know how you get washed after 1 year in the league, but he's looking that way. I did not expect Stephon Diggs going out to impact their offense this much, but they're just playing terrible. I don't know where you go from here.
C.J. Stroud has looked worse, I think, this year than Jane Daniels. probably Bo Nix,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm willing to even put Caleb Williams into that conversation.
Maybe even if Bryce Young keeps playing well, maybe even Bryce Young at this point.
So, I mean, he's not looking like the rookie of the year that he was last year.
Yeah.
And now, hindsight, if you ask me, I think Puka deserved it more, but that's just my opinion. And I think that if C.J. Stroud doesn't step it up soon, then it's going to be a problem for the Texans.
Yeah. Colts lost to the Lions. I expected that. I did not. When I saw the score was 6-7, I was kind of surprised. But in the end, I was not surprised that game ended that way. Anthony Richardson did not look good again, and that's against the Lions defense, which is pretty wounded right now. So I mean, do you keep with Anthony Richardson? Do you try benching him again? I mean, it worked with Bryce Young. Give him some time to step back, watch Joe Flacco play, learn under a veteran. I don't know, but he's looking terrible.
Yeah, and Anthony Richardson, the Joe Flacco benching, like you were saying, it helped for one game, but it's not going to help a lot. And I think if Dave Canales doesn't return to the Panthers next year, which I think is an unlikely event, but if that happens, then I think the Colts pursue him, get him in, try for him to just get Anthony Richardson back.
Yeah.
To what he kind of used to be.
Yeah, which at this point I think their season's pretty much done. I think you bench Anthony Richardson for the season. Like you got to decide one way or another, and I think going back and forth is only going to make him lose confidence. I think give him a year on the bench.
Yeah, you either bench him or you don't, and I think that Anthony Richardson starting is actually a better idea just because he can develop more. Even though maybe the confidence wears off a little bit, but I think that him developing is more important than Joe Flacco just stepping in and taking control.
So Patriots lost to the Dolphins. It wasn't a terrible loss, but Drake May just really no one was standing up and helping him out. He didn't have any offensive weapons, not even Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, how hard do you tank the season? Do you try and get some receivers in the draft? Maybe a running back. I mean, Drake May looks like the quarterback for the Patriots for a while, but you got to build your offense around him. I think they should probably tank the season. Yeah,
Demario Douglas was their leading wide receiver, and then there was Austin Hooper and there was Hunter Henry, two tight ends.
Hunter Henry's okay.
Yeah, Hunter Henry's decent. Austin Hooper used to be decent, and then there was Kendrick Bourne after all that. I don't know who Demario Douglas is.
Yeah.
I've heard of Kendrick Bourne a few times. I know who Hunter Henry is, and I definitely know who Austin Hooper is. But that's kind of worrying to think that tight ends are leading you in categories. It's kind of like with the Raiders, where like every other week is Brock Bowers, and every other week is Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, maybe Jacoby Myers.
So it's worrying, but I think next season is going to be the season that they might actually have a chance of making the playoffs.
And the fact that through all that they're still able to make it a like a 10 point ish game, I think it was, and make Drake May look decent. Yeah, Drake May is a good quarterback for sure. Giants lost to the Bucks. I kind of saw that one coming. I don't know. I still don't think Daniel Jones is worth restarting, but clearly Tommy DeVito is not going to be the quarterback next season. So
they can't really get Daniel Jones back either because I think they just
they dropped him. Yeah, so. Forgot about that. So that was clearly the nail in the coffin. Their season's over. When does the GM get fired? Why did you let Saquon go? I nothing else left for that team.
It's bad when Saquon has more yards than your entire offense did. It's bad when he has more scrimmage yards than that.
Yeah.
Like that's your quarterback. Your quarterback usually throws for a good 250 yards.
Yeah.
Maybe more. And Saquon himself had 300. And your entire offense had 273.
Yep.
Like that's not a recipe for success.
Yeah.
Ever. And the fact that you even dropped him or let him go was just preposterous.
And he offered you a good deal too. He offered to stay on your team no matter how little you paid him.
Daniel Jones, I'm just gonna believe it. I'm gonna start getting really mad really soon. So I'm just gonna leave there.
We just gotta move on at this point. Commanders, Cowboys, even worse situation there. What's happening, man? Jaden Daniels falling off from what was it, like a shoulder injury, and it wasn't even that bad. I don't know what's going on, but they are falling off. I think I think my theory is the receivers are getting open by less wide margins. You know, the playbook is getting analyzed better by teams now that we're deeper into the season. Jane Daniels isn't getting yards as easy, and he's not looking nearly so good.
Frauds. That's my answer.
I mean,
frauds.
I don't know if you can go that far. I think Jane Daniels still played pretty well. I mean, he almost had that Hail Mary there at the end. I think he's still a good quarterback. They just need to, figure out how to get the receivers open again.
It's less Jane Daniels being a fraud than it is just their entire defense. But
man.
It's just
talk about a bad day for that defense. You need to be able to put quarterbacks under pressure better than that, because man, whatever his name is, I can't even remember his name on the Cowboys, was looking confident. That's when you know it's bad. Raiders Broncos. Raiders. Gardner Minshew's out for I don't even remember how long, but long enough that it's pretty clear their season's over. I think you need a tank at this point.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew went out. Desmond Ridder came in. He immediately had a fumble.
Yep.
I think that's just an entire scene of what their QB room is like. It's an entire fumbled piece of garbage.
Aiden O'Connell's no better. You got a tank for a quarterback at that point. Enough said there. 49ers lost to the Packers. I didn't really expect a whole lot better without Brock Purdy, but I expected at least Christian McCaffrey to look good with, getting a lot of carries. And he did not. Deebo Samuel was having a terrible season. George Kittle looks good at least, but, man, the rest of that offense is a disaster. Whenever Brock Purdy comes back, that'll help out a little bit. Brandon Ayuk being out for the season isn't helping. But, get rid of Deebo. Maybe try and pick up a wide receiver in free agency. I don't know what's going to go on with that.
Their season might be done for right now until Brock Purdy comes back. And by the time he comes back, even if that's next week, they still don't have the easiest schedule of all time remaining.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not good in division play right now.
Mm-hmm.
They are definitely not good outside of division play. And I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs this year.
No,
and
not.
Next year it's going to be where a lot of their stars, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, they're all old.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to get older.
I think George Kittle probably has a year or two left, but yeah.
But if you don't take advantage of that right now, then you're not going to be able to basically ever. And I think last year was their title window. And
I think
that closed. I think it's over for them.
Yeah, I think you honestly probably trade George Kittle, get some good draft picks.
You might want to do that, or you might want to let the season go out and then just kind of get rid of everybody all at once. But I don't think you blow it up yet. I just think you blow it up soon.
Mm-hmm. Cardinals, Seahawks. Kyler Murray, man, he looked like he was asleep that whole game. He's been playing way too many video games.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, I don't think the Cardinals are gonna hang on to the NFC West. They're gonna. I don't even know if they make the playoffs at this point. You've got a talented receiver in Marvin Harrison, but man, Kyler Murray, what is going on right now?
It's a problem when Trey McBride has 12 receptions for 133 yards. He's the most targeted player in your team.
Yeah.
I don't know if Call of Duty released anything recently, but if they did, then that's probably why Kyler Murray's playing badly.
Yeah.
But I think, really, the Cardinals have lost their lead on the division. I don't think they're going to get it back. And I also think that they have a week something matchup with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the second to last week. That matchup is basically going to determine the Cardinals' fate.
Yep.
If the next few weeks go okay for them.
Yep, Kyler Murray has been playing too much of that college football too. Rams, Eagles. Rams, you can probably still make the playoffs after that. That was a tough matchup. I don't, their O-line looked really weak, but other than that, they looked pretty strong, I think. They still have the hardest game maybe against the Bills. We'll see. I think the Eagles will still be a harder matchup than that, but the rest of their schedule, especially the divisional games, I think they can beat the Seahawks. I still think they can probably win that division, make a decent playoff run.
Can the O-line protect Stafford?
I know, that's going to be your biggest problem if you do make the playoffs for sure.
He got sacked 5 times by the Eagles.
Yeah.
Now, think of the Lions. against us with that kind of D-line, and I think Stafford gets sacked like 10 times.
Yeah.
So really it's just a game of protection. Who protects our quarterback the best?
Yeah. So lastly, the Chargers-Ravens. Chargers, I think the playoffs are still in the picture. Other than the Chiefs, that division looks pretty weak. I think they're definitely still a better team. The Broncos, definitely. So I mean, can your wide receivers step it up, make a playoff run a little bit more in the picture? Because I think Justin Herbert is definitely a playoff quarterback if his receivers can hang on to the ball.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson, I'm going to address you directly right here. You had 5 catches, 5 targets that you dropped all of them.
Yep.
Most of them were dimes. If you're not going to help out your team, then don't even play.
Get out
do me a
of here.
favor. I don't want to see just like Justin Herbert getting screwed by his wide receivers time and time again.
Yeah. So that's it for the losing teams.
Now for the winning teams. The Browns. Division record is 3-0.
Yeah.
Outside of the division record, 0-8.
That's not where you want to be.
They're like the Carolina Reapers of the division. And I'm just going to call the Panthers the Reapers because everybody they've played and beat has gotten their coach fired.
Yeah.
And if they beat the Chiefs, I'm fairly certain their coach would have been fired, the
Yeah.
Chiefs. And joking, of course. Andy Reid's not going to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Ever, probably. But still, Nick Chubb, he doesn't look washed anymore. 2 TDs, 50 yards rushing. I mean, he's looking pretty decent in the last few weeks.
Miles Garrett looks fantastic, too. Man, what a game.
So I think the Browns they have a good, decent kind of future, apart from the Deshaun Watson stuff.
Yeah, get a new quarterback. I think that's a solid team. Jameis Winston's probably not your future quarterback.
The Chiefs, they won another field goal. How long is it until these one-game wins kind of just run out?
Yeah, I know. What happens in the playoffs when you can't hang on to a win by 3 points over the Panthers?
Vikings, down to the wire win.
Oh, man. No
Jordan
kidding.
Addison and TJ Hawkinson, both 100-plus yards. And defense, they allowed 17 points in the final quarter, which is why are they going to be able to handle playoff-bound teams?
Yeah, I know. It looked like we were just assumed we would win and just gave up that last touchdown. I think, we played great the rest of the game, but, man, we got to work on endurance. That was a bad fourth quarter.
Like against playoff-bound teams like the Eagles, for example, I don't think you can give up 17 in the last quarter and still expect to win. Because their defense will lock up your offense fairly quickly. Yeah,
and use Jefferson more than drawing defenders off sides, man. That would have been a much bigger win if he had more than one catch.
The Titans. Will Levis, Calvin Ridley connection seems strong.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think, is maybe not the best thing in the world, but that's kind of your franchise quarterback for right now and your franchise wide receiver.
It works for this season.
And they had a great first half, like a phenomenal first half. They scored 20 in the first half. And I think if they can keep that up for the rest of the season, it'll be kind of fun to watch them. They'll score a lot. They might not win, but they'll score a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep Will Levis around. That's my take on it. Get some receivers under age 30 maybe, and that's a solid offense.
The Lions. Another win. The offensive line should be equated to the MVP. Their O-line, Jared Goff didn't throw a single touchdown. All their points came from David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs rushing.
Yep.
Their second half defense is phenomenal. They have not allowed any points in the second half for, I think, the last 2 or 3 games. I think they're playing near perfect football, and there's not really any big question on this team apart from the defensive line for right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do with Aiden Hutchinson out, but, somehow they're doing it. That defense is looking real strong without him. I did not expect that.
The Dolphins. They managed to bring Jalen Waddle back from the dead. He had a monster game.
After everyone dropped him off their fantasy teams, jeez.
And Tua had another monster game. He had 300-plus yards, 3 touchdowns. If he stays consistent, I think the Dolphins might just be able to get back into the playoff contention.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, and Johnny Smith out of nowhere, their offense is looking very rejuvenated.
And
right
that too with Tyreek just not being that much of a factor.
Just not present.
Yeah, he's there, but it's at the same time.
He's just waiting for retirement at this point.
The Bucs. Evans looked strong in his return. Baker to Evans connection was strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really Baker had 2 fumbles. prior to the bye week, he had 3 fumbles. I think if you limit the fumbles, then really the Bucs might be looking at something really nice.
Yeah, he got used to playing really reckless without Mike Evans, and it's costing their offense now with all those turnovers. If they can figure that out, they're a strong team. But until then, I don't know.
The Cowboys. They indeed do have a miracle win. If you remember from last time on the podcast, I was joking about them getting a miracle win. I think they took it to heart.
No one saw that coming.
Is Mike McCarthy still going to get fired soon, do we think? Or has the pressure kind of lifted off of him for right now?
I think he probably still should get fired. Will he? That's another question. But I think he still should. I think the lack of pass pressure from the Commanders really helped out that win. And obviously the crazy kickoff return.
Oh, yeah, Kevontae Turpin's dropping it. And just
yeah, that was wild. The Bears couldn't get that going when they dropped the kickoff.
Yeah. So really, the Cowboys, sure, they're not going to make the playoffs with Cooper Rush right now.
Yeah.
But I think that they might just be able to end the season out with that kind of win.
Make CeeDee Lamb happy enough to stay on your team, and I call it a win of a season.
The Broncos. Is Bo Nix in Offensive Rookie of the Year conversations now?
I mean, he's in the conversation. Whether he'll get it or not depends on if Jaden Daniels bounces back, and if, I mean,
he's been balling.
Yeah.
The bro has been balling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really they are legit playoff contenders at this point.
For real, yeah.
Their defense has been showing up time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Nix has showed up for the past few weeks. And I think if the Bo Nix-Cortland Sutton connection stays, they're going to be legit playoff contenders.
Yeah.
The Packers. Matt LaFleur does not get enough credit for what he's done with this team.
Mm-hmm.
He has taken Malik Willis and has still won them games when Jordan Love was out.
I know.
And I think the biggest question is, how deep of a playoff run do they make?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, you can probably make it past the first round if you can keep Josh Jacobs involved. I think that was the main struggle in the middle couple of weeks there, is they weren't running the ball enough.
And I think that Jordan Love has right now been playing better than C.J. Stroud, almost unanimously better.
Mm-hmm.
And now for the Seahawks. The Cardinals had the question of, are they going to win the division? Now the Seahawks had the question, are they consistent enough to win the division?
Yeah, I know. That whole division is struggling so much with consistency right now. It's so back and forth. I still don't think it's even close to predictable enough who wins.
The Seahawks, they lost to the Rams. Then they beat the Cardinals, which puts them in a weird position because technically the Cardinals have the seniority of win over the Rams, and the Seahawks don't, but they beat the Cardinals, which means that it's entirely convoluted.
It's a convoluted division, that's for sure.
So come back 3 weeks later, and we'll see what happens with that division.
Yeah.
The Eagles. Saquon Barkley equals the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Without Saquon, I don't think the Eagles are even half as good.
No, they're not. I mean, Saquon Barkley's got to win MVP at this point. I don't know. If he doesn't, I'm gonna be so mad. I mean, 270+ yard touchdowns is just insane.
Their hardest schedule is now going to come. They have the Ravens, they have the Steelers left.
Yeah.
And I think those two matchups are going to determine their playoff seed in the NFC.
I still see them winning both of those games, but yeah.
If they win those, then I'm pretty sure they can lock up the 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
If the Lions, perchance, lose 2 games, which highly unlikely, but if it happens, then they might just barely get the 1 seed, but I think that the Eagles have been playing very, very well since the bye week, and since Nick Sirianni shaved his head.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that works, but
The Ravens, they won the Harbaugh battle. They played a near-perfect game. It's just, can they make the Super Bowl and keep Derrick Henry involved? He's been involved in all their wins. In all their losses, he hasn't. And I think if you pick up on what I'm trying to say, it's basically just keep Derrick Henry involved, you win games. So simple.
I think when you play teams like the Steelers with a D-line like that, I don't think even keeping it involved is going to change anything. So it depends really how far they make in the playoffs. It depends on what defenses they play, I think.
Yeah, and I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
Now for our picks. The Bears-Lions. Who do you have winning?
I got the Bears winning. I know that's a crazy prediction, but I mean Keenan Allen is back to old Keenan Allen. Caleb Williams is really bouncing back. If they can make field goals and punt the ball successfully, I think they win that game. I mean, the Lions defense, they're looking fine, but I don't think they're going to be able to generate enough pass pressure to get Caleb Williams off the hook again. And, and the Bears defensively, I mean, they strapped up Justin Jefferson. I don't know. I think they can hold up Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I'm a tier 1 Jared Goff hater, but I'm gonna disagree with you there. The Lions are going to beat the Bears, and here's why. The Bears D-line isn't that good. The Lions O-line is too good. It's basically just going to be a David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs feast for most of the game.
I think, if they run the ball most of the game, they'll probably squeeze out a win. But, if they try passing it.
As much as I hate him, is a mid-accurate quarterback. And even if the Bears manage to lock up Amon-Ra, they're not going to have a speedster for Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
And that's where that deep ball is just going to keep hurting and biting them, which is why I think the Lions are going to be able to win this game. It might be a close game. I won't be surprised if it's a close game. But I don't think that the Bears are going to be able to manage to win.
We'll see, yeah.
Giants-Cowboys.
I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna say the Cowboys win that one.
I think it's pretty much then some of the Cowboys win that one. The Giants don't really have weapons. They don't really have a quarterback now with DeVito, and the Giants' entire organization is just falling apart for the moment. Apart from Dexter Lawrence II, we'll give him his flowers, but I think that the Cowboys win that one pretty easily.
I mean, the Giants' D-line is always good at pass rushing. So I mean, if they can put Cooper Rush back under pressure, we'll see if he's able to keep his confidence. But yeah,
Dolphins-Packers.
I got Dolphins winning that one.
I also got the Dolphins winning that one. I was expecting to say Packers.
Yeah.
I think that the Dolphins, they're going to keep their stars involved again. Devon Achane. If Jalen Waddle decides to become another star, then Jalen Waddle. But I think that really with that kind of offense, it's really hard to stop that kind of offense, as good as the Packers' defense is. And I don't really see that Jordan Love is going to have too good of a game this game. But that's just my prediction.
I mean, even after the bad season that he's been having, I still see him putting Jared Alexander on Tyreek Hill, and if they do that, or even if they put him on Jalen Waddle, I think Johnny Smith has been looking great, so I think they're gonna do pretty well offensively.
Raiders-Chiefs.
I got I skipped that one. I got Chiefs winning that one. Just going with the obvious pick there. I mean, the Raiders Chiefs is always a close game. Chiefs always have struggles against Max Crosby, but the Raiders just lost Gardner Minshew. They're not going to be able to. I mean, Chiefs defense is looking weak, but they're still going to not get any points, I don't think.
It all depends on the game that Brock Bowers has. If he's a monster game, I could see it going towards the Raiders. If he is a mid-game, then I don't think the Raiders win. And as decent as Patrick Mahomes looked against the Panthers, no turnovers, he'll have the same kind of game probably again, but it really just comes down to how much is Brock Bowers involved.
And he wasn't able to get away from sacks either. So I think if the Raiders D-line plays the way they've been playing, I think they can hold up the Chiefs pretty well.
Yeah. The Chargers and Falcons.
I got the Falcons winning that one. I mean, they've been looking pretty weak this season, but they're coming off a bye week. I think the rest will really help Kirk Cousins. He's still kind of recovering from that Achilles tear. I think they'll be rejuvenated, whereas the Chargers, they had a pretty weak game, especially offensively. I think the Falcons can outscore them.
See, I think that the Falcons, the issue with them is they're just inconsistent, and I think that they're not going to make the playoffs. And this is going to be the reason why they don't. They're facing a much better team than the Chargers. The Chargers have a worse run game, but they have a better quarterback. They have, we can just call Drake London and Ladd McConkey kind of on the same level. They're not two outstanding wide receivers, but what we want Drake London to be versus what he actually is kind of like.
Yeah, he's just been way too inconsistent this year.
So that's why I have the Chargers winning. Also, the Chargers have a way better defense than the Falcons.
That's definitely true.
The second or third best ranked defense in the league. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor is the defenses. Yeah. Steelers-Bengals, always a rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the Bengals winning that one, but I think if during this week, if the Steelers can figure out who they actually want to play at the quarterback position and then stick with that through the entire game, I think they'll make a decent run of it. The Bengals